All right. Any questions before we jump into this next, basically orienting on getting going on our collaboration exercise? Okay. So we have basically gone through, a review of the session one handout, specifically the 3 trees and using reset, as well as git add and git commit, to kind of understand a little bit about how they operate and the relationships between them. And so now we're gonna start to go through the beginnings of this exercise, this collaboration exercise. And to do that, I'm going to walk through as if I were a team member, including the team lead. They can also participate in making those changes, of course. So we're kind of here on this this homework section that I threw up down here under familiarizing with changes to make on the home page of the tags, the Walkwist GitHub IO tags website. So here's where, if you haven't put Sourcetree into your machine, that would be a good time to do so, because it's a lot easier to look at than these ADOG graphs. So let's see, let's go ahead and go into Sourcetree. And again, you don't have to be in Sourcetree, but it's you may have a way to look at it in Visual Studio Code as well. I'm going to go with Sourcetree because I'm not familiar with VS Code. But it's again just another way to contemplate this, this graph that you get when you're running the ADOG command. It's the same data. So if I'm in Sourcetree, I can point it at a repo that I have already down, which I do. I have tags, so I can navigate to that. Or if I have a Finder window open on Mac anyway, I can go and just drop it in there from the Finder. So I think I'm on, if I hit a so Command Shift G lets me go something like this. All right, there's my tag, so I can grab this down here and push it up here. Now it knows about tags. Double click, and here it is. So to take a little trip through what we're seeing here, what we're highlighted right now is the master, and that's what the local master is on, just master by itself, no origin slash, and then also we're that master branch is on the same place as the master on the remote, and our remote is called origin. Which is just a name for the place that we cloned from in this case. So to elaborate on that just a bit, Q for quit out of here, Command K to clear your screen. So if I were to say git remote -v, then I can see what origin refers to. So that just refers to my the clone of my fork. So that's what origin means, because of the way I've defined origin here when I did a git clone. That just git clone sets up origin for me by convention. So what I also have here, as you can also see on this sort of relatively messy output, are these other branches. And so here's here's the GH pages, which we won't work with. That's actually that branch that creates documentation. So don't worry about GH pages at all, even though it's in the same repo. The rest of these we do want to consider. So starting from master, we've got our view template, which I refer to in the homework. And in the homework, I recommend using it, but I'm going to change my mind because it's I want to use a simpler change first than from view template. Just to demonstrate right here. We've also got, so you can see where view template is. It's in this red branch here. It changes. You've also got another branch that also branches off of master, as you can see from the blue line. Changes for style sheet, and if you go down below, you can see what files are involved and what changes are in those files from the source tree output. Tag input first. This one is the one I'm going to do as an example because it's actually a very simple change. If you notice at the very end of this diff, tags HTML and form HTML get reversed so that form HTML comes first and then tags.
Chris, could you widen your screen just a tad? I can't really make out the text.
Oh, widen this here, like so?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sure. Can I do the plus on this guy? Well, I'm not quite sure how to make this larger. Sorry, I will research that in a break. But the tag input first is a very simple change, and I'll do that change in the terminal that has large text or VS Code. So kind of mark that change in your brain. The other changes are similarly organized. They all come off of master, so they're basically independent of each other as far as they're represented on this in this repo on their own branches. So if you want to merge a branch right on in to your collaboration branch, then feel free. That's fair game. You don't have to type from scratch, but you can look at the diff to see what that change entails to get an idea of what's going to happen, or a reference implementation of this change or task that you'd be assigned. So here's delete route. So here's what you would have to change in order to implement a delete route poorly. Notice there's 2 dots on this green line, so that means that you're going to get basically this better delete route is branched off of delete route, not directly off of master. So you may want to keep that in mind when you're thinking about the order of things you want to do, and the changes that are being shown. So in other words, the changes being shown here, I believe, are just between better delete route and delete route. If I'm interpreting this right. And then about page with nav, this again is all the way off of master, so it's its own independent change. So you can add some nav goodness. And then finally layout. That's a pretty simple change as well. Adding a base HTML. And then a little bit of index change as well to reference the base HTML using a Jinja 2 syntax. So anyway, just to show you that these are all coming off master except for 2, which are kind of round 2 ones. Actually layout is around 2 now that I think about it. See, it's coming down here, branching off of a view template. So it's adding on to what was done with the view template based on this graph. So 2 of those changes are round 2 changes, I guess you could say. So there's what we can see. Let's go ahead and I'm going to pretend to be a team member here, and I want to do this tag input first. So how in the world do we go about that? So figure out where I'm at the moment. Clear screen. We get red parse head. That tells you something. Tells you more if you're on. Okay, here's my head, which is on master, which lines up with origin master, which is where I'm at. So that's good. That means that I'm down here. And you can, of course, see the SHA over here that matches the SHA that is here. 969. So I'm where I want to be. How about the state of my repo right now? Am I clean? Git status? Not really. There's that thing there. So I can just get rid of that. And notice I'm doing an RM and not a git RM because it's not in Git. So there's no need to do a git RM. If I were to do git RM, it would probably get mad at me. Yeah. Because it's not in Git. So just Unix RM is enough. Now I'll try git status. Okay, so good. I'm clean. So what branch am I on? That's another thing to find out. Master. That's good. So at this point, I can either like look at the tag input first and see what diffs there are, or what files they're in. So clearly he's views.py. So I can go and go into here and locate the place that needs to be made different, which is on line 12-ish. Down here, way at the end, and then just literally change it like this. And for such a simple change as this, that's probably going to be enough. So actually, I'm going to Command Z before I do that and look at the not that many Command Z's. Command Shift Z. There we go. So before I make that change, let me open another window, CD to my source tags directory, get into my environment, bin, activate, tab, tab, tab. Okay, there it is. And I can bin run, tab, class web server. So the change I want to make, basically, if we start adding a bunch of tags here, then your input keeps moving further down the page. And if you have 100 tags, and you have to keep scrolling down. So that's what I'd like to do, is put this input up above the list of tags, right? Make it better. So in the code, that means that these are the tag. This is the tag list, and then this is the input list, basically. So by putting form HTML first, then that accomplishes that mission. Okay, save, quit, and restart, because I don't have any automatic reload in play here. So I have to restart it, which is a huge inconvenience. And now I refresh. Okay, now great. Now my tag thing is up where it needs to be, and I don't have to move down to get more tags in. All right. How do I share that with the team? What tree has been changed thus far?
Can you figure out which branch you're on?
Okay. Git branch.
So you're on master.
Mhm.
Don't you want to create a new branch before you push to master, or did you want to push to master?
So that's an excellent project collaboration question. So your team can, make that decision as to whether they want to, I guess there's four of you on a team. So you could commit to master, or you could get on another branch and do that. Which do you think I should do in this case?
Since you're working alone, you can just push to master.
Okay. That's an option. Why would you create another branch and not
So
push to master?
So you can isolate the work you've done in case, so that if you break something, you don't break the master. Master is supposed to always be working.
Okay. So what if, let's explore that. So if I push to master, well, let's say I commit to master, right? So let's git add. Okay. And which branch or which tree did I update by doing that?
Master.
Well, have I touched master yet?
Well,
Just
you
index.
added it on your local.
So master is still right where it was before, and head is still right where it was before as well.
You've updated your index, right?
Exactly. I changed my tree, but I haven't committed anything, and so no branch has changed. Right? Branches are only pointing in repos, in commits to repos. I haven't committed anything, so therefore no branches have been modified. So yeah, so I am updated my tree, my index tree. My workspace tree was already changed because I made the change to views.py. So it doesn't change when I do a git add, but the index does to match it. So now, the change that I'm going to make is going to be about making tag input first. Come first. Okay. Now what tree has changed?
The one on your local.
Yeah,
The head.
the head, yes, and it's local because I haven't done any pushing. So can my team see what I've done yet?
No.
No. But have I made a commit into the repo?
Yes.
Yes, my local repo has changed. So let's see how that looks. So here's me. And then here is master. So this guy hasn't moved, right? That's the remote. That's what other people can see. It's still where it was before because I haven't pushed yet. I've just committed. So I can make change. I can make my changes and commit to master and tests and all that. And that's, that could work. I don't have to push it up until it's time to share. What about though if somebody else is also doing other changes? Maybe they're changing, one of these, maybe somebody's on the delete route, or, the view template or one of these other branches, and they got there first. So they've done the commit, they've done the push, they're up, their origin master has changed, and your team member or your team lead's fork has changed. And so that's where it's going to get a little bit interesting, possibly. So is that a reason to not commit to master necessarily?
Doesn't it depend if you're working on the same files or not, because if you're working on the same files, you definitely want to branch. But if you were working on different files and you push to master, then it's not gonna affect the work.
Possibly, that's something I'll let you experience. It may not affect the work, but if you haven't, if you are not up to date with the latest changes remotely, then you can't push. So, for instance, if somebody has moved this master somewhere else, because it will be somewhere else, it'll diverge from where you got it, then you're gonna have to do a git pull into your repo and merge that with your changes locally before you can then push. And so that's where, like team coordination might be necessary. Because otherwise, if you guys aren't communicating and people are pushing, and you could be in a situation where you're just trying to get your change in, but the target keeps moving on remote, and you keep having to pull, and then it changes again before the next time that you get yours up there. That can be frustrating. So, Slack might be a handy tool at that point. Like, hold on, guys, let me get mine up there first. And that's regardless of whatever branch you're on. If you've got, maybe you've got sub teams under your team, and the two of you want to work on a branch. That's legit, right? You can branch off of master and coordinate your changes back and forth on your branch, while not getting influenced by everything else that's happening on master, because that could clutter your picture. If you're pulling all those changes in, and your behavior of your app is changing while you're just working on your part. So you can, like you said, isolate what's going on, but that's your call, right? It depends on how your team works and what kind of changes you're making, and to what part of the code base. But regardless, you're going to have to be up to date with a git pull and merge locally before you can push up to the remote. The term for that is called a fast forward merge. And so one way to think of it is that when you're pushing, there has to be a merge, but it can only be a fast forward merge if you're pushing. It can only be just an update of origin to the next commit, with no complicated, combining of changes. If it's not a fast forward merge, then GitHub says, nope, go back and go to the drawing board again and figure that out all locally, and then try again. So as you go, you'll experience that in the next round here.
I did have a question for you.
Sure.
So what if you're only adding the file that you're working with and then you're pushing it? Will you still have to pull from origin if someone else has updated it?
Yes.
Yes.
Short answer is yes. Git doesn't care so much about files as it does about changes. To Git, a file is just another blob represented by just another tree, and that's going to be in a separate commit. And so it's going to say, okay, maybe this file is fine, but you've got to pull it into your repo first and make yourself a merge commit. And then I can go forward knowing that it's already been merged, and just and a fast forward, that it comes from a push will work.
Thank you.
Yeah, good question. So where are we? So we've made the tag input come first. Where are we? Here we are up here. So here's our new commit in Sourcetree. We can see it there as well. So so we're on master. So we can go ahead. Let's say our team was okay with just pushing to master. We can at this point push, and then it will. Now Sourcetree shows what's local, and everything remote shows as origin / whatever, right? Those are just tracking branches. We don't change those ourselves. They just get, when we do a git pull, then what those branches are gets updated, those origin branches. and you probably, it's up to you how you use these. I probably wouldn't go ahead and use these as they are. You probably want to make your own branch if you decide to like take this change as it is. So let me run through a quick example of that, and then I'll set you off to play with it yourselves for a few minutes before we come back together. So I've done this. So pop quiz, how do I get back to where I was before? I want to throw away that change.
A reset,
Okay, what kind?
Hard,
hard
you're
reset.
gonna
yeah.
return it.
Okay, and to where?
Head.
Okay, did that work? Looks like nothing happened. Why would that be?
Because you've already updated your local head.
Yeah, so Git reset has two things. One is like how hard is the reset? And we want to reset all three trees, so that's legit. And the other thing is, where do you want to reset to? So I said I want to reset to head. So I'm basically resetting head to go back to head.
Can you do the head with a caret after it?
Okay, what does that do?
Goes to the previous head.
Yeah, the thing before head. So the parent of head. So it tracks back down to, well, it will be down to origin master. So yes, exactly. But you want to put it somewhere else, not where it's already at. In this case. So sometimes you do want to, reset everything to match where you're already at, and that just blows away your index and your workspace, but leaves head where it's at. In this case, you want to move head back to previous commit. So that's where the caret comes in. You can also say, hey, you know what? I don't know where our head is at now, but I want to make origin master where my master branch goes now, or whatever branch I'm on it, which is master at the moment. So that amounts to the same thing. It's just another way to express it. So how did that do? Yeah. So you can see this doesn't, it's not real explicit, but in Sourcetree, the thing that has the the dark circle with the concentric circle around it is head. It's where head's at. It's a little maybe overly nuanced representation, but that's what's going on. So yeah, now we're back here. Let's just try merging, right? What if we just took our tag input first and just merged it right in? Git merge, whatever the thing is, tag input first. Now this is not going to work. Okay.
You have to be on that branch.
Sorry?
Do you have to be on that branch first to merge it into master? I thought you can merge from master.
So when yeah, good question. When you're merging into the branch you're on. So you're saying merge here, and then the argument you give it is where to come from. So what I'm saying is I'm on master. I want to pull in the changes from tag input first. Now Git is actually fairly informative here. It says we can't do this. Why can't that be done? So hint here. So notice how when we were on master, we're on local master and we're in the same place as origin master. So when we say git merge, if we just say the tag, some branch name, that actually isn't, it's not there. Like there is no tag input first. There's only the pointer to the remotes tag input first branch. So that's what Git is telling us here. It's you don't have a tag input first. So a couple ways we can do that. We can say, oh, what I mean is this, which is true. Another alternative, just to show it, is that we can just go ahead and check out. All right, just for fun. And it does some things behind the scenes for us. It says, oh, you must mean by that, you must mean you want to create a tracking branch of this remote that happens to have the same name. And I'll do that for you. So that's what all this text means here. So now we have a tag input first branch that's our local branch. So then if we go back to master, Git check out master, right? Now we can do the same thing that we we're going to do before. This check out, or not that's not the same thing. This is the same thing. Git merge, tag input first. Now it says, oh, of course. Now you've got a local branch, I'll just merge that for you. And because there are no other changes on master, there's no problem with that. Right. So now you can see that now it looks a little weird. It looks like we're out on a branch, but we're actually not. Master has changed. You know, it's the same SHA. And that's what's called a fast forward merge, because there's no collecting of different branches that actually has to happen in real life. It's a fast forward. It just moves master up to the place that we've told it to be. It is a merge, but it doesn't look like one graphically. That's a fast forward merge, and it actually says it on here. If you notice, just okay, I'm catching it up. Here's what it is now. So it doesn't have to create a new commit. None of that's necessary. It just moves the branch. And kind of another nuance of Git is moving a branch isn't necessarily another commit. A branch is just a tag. It's just a reference to a SHA. And so Git does whatever it has to do to accomplish what you are after. And that doesn't always mean making a new commit. Sometimes it may just mean updating a branch's reference. So that's what happened in this case. Now, if we do it again, then we start to get some actual merge goodness, right? So if we want to, I don't know, pull in style sheet, what happens if we do that? So we're still on master, right? That's where we're at. And again, we could make the changes by hand, or we could try a merge. Either way, whatever gets it done. And we get the same thing. Let's just do the shortcut this time, like it recommends, because all Git needs is a SHA, right? It needs to have a commit SHA, and it knows that this is a commit SHA, so we can just go ahead and say, yeah, that's what I mean. Okay, and now we start to get some conflicts, right? So I'm going to pause there, and I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to organize in your teams and begin to try to get some commits in. So hold on, let me find another page here. So where we're at, so if you go back to this, our repo home and scroll down a little bit, we're starting to get into this section here, the simulated project section. There's a few ideas for diffing stuff, so you can skip that for now, I think. And down to the getting started on the project is pretty much where we're at right here. So I've gone over the round 1 tasks, and I pointed out those 2 round 2 tasks. And this is kind of the workflow that I modeled here a little bit, just using master and committing and pushing, back and forth to master. So just for simplicity, you may want to try that first. If your team is sophisticated enough to go ahead and make your own branches and, merge them on up together and then push them up, feel free to do that. But you can also just work on master for the purposes of this exercise. So from now until 11, I want you to, as a team, kind of, go and choose which round one tasks each of you will take. Maybe two of you want to work on them together, that's fine, or all of you. I would recommend that you have at least two different workflows going on, so you can get a sense of what it's like to push changes up to a common branch. And what happens with Git when you do that. And then when we come back at 11, we can talk about how that went, and do some troubleshooting and decide where to go from there. Are there any questions before we jump into this? Just beginning to do some round one tasks. If not, then I'll be on Slack, so feel free to Slack me in the meantime. Otherwise, we'll meet back at 11 o'clock.